All righty. Let's see here. I believe we are starting. Yes, we are. Okay, we're rocking and rolling now. Excellent. Well, hello and welcome everybody to another Pandora Zoom event. We are here once again with Coach Jim Gillespie, CRE Coach Jim Gillespie, who's got tons and tons of accolades. He's done it all. He's seen it all. He's been coaching forever and ever and ever. But if we're going to be honest, Coach, you got to admit, you don't feel like you've really made it until you've been on a Pandora Zoom event. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you say that's the truth?
There you go, baby. Right.
But no, all kidding aside, guys, Jim, he's been published, interviewed, written about the New York Times, Los Angeles Times, Money Magazine, Realty Times, Broker Agent News. Man, my goodness, just been all over the place. He's also got a number one book on Amazon. Been coaching for long time, since 1998. Thousands of articles, tons of instructional videos, just a all around terrific, probably the best or premier, I should say, CRE broker coach that's out there. We are super lucky to have Jim here with us, and we're so pleased that you're doing these Pandora Zoom events with us, Jim. Thank you for being here. I just want to kick this thing off and get started, if that's okay. When it comes to commercial real estate brokers, Coach, the topic is persuasion, right? How to persuade your commercial real estate clients. So when it comes to that and the commercial real estate broker, what do they really need to understand about persuasion?
It's really important, Frank, to move away from the old model that many people think in terms of salespeople. When people get into sales, they think, okay, what have I heard about who you have to be as a salesperson to be successful? Okay, you got to be aggressive. You got to be assertive. And you just got to really look out for that, because that can be perceived as being pushy and forceful for your agenda towards the client or prospect. And you really need to learn how to be effective at sales while not making them feel that you're pushing them for their agenda. And that requires a willingness to rethink things and do them differently, and look at some alternatives and figure out what is truly going to be the best sales approach for you.
I get that. So instead of being just the hardcore, let's go, so what it'll take to get you to sign today kind of a guy, right? You're saying approach things a little more differently and be more thoughtful about that in a more persuasive
Let me just say something just right here, Frank. You made me think of something.
Yeah.
Most of us, if you were to think of all the salespeople who have been selling to you throughout your life, I mean, shoe salespeople, clothing, car salespeople, homes, loans, whatever the heck it is. Okay.
Yeah.
How many can you think of that you've experienced that you felt provided you outstanding service that you would be thrilled to refer them to your friends and business associates? And I got to tell you, for me, it's probably no more than 3.
True.
And that just shows us how salespeople tend to be mediocre towards us at best.
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot worse than mediocre, but so few of them we feel do an outstanding job that we go, I want to work with them again, and I want to refer them to everybody I know.
Right. And it's those people, the ones that do impress us that way, where we feel like, man, I love that guy. That was great. They're persuading us, but they just have a different way of doing it. They're not just going, sign today. What are we going to do? There's a different way. So like, what mistakes would you say that we're making, right, when it comes to our persuasion tactics?
Sure. I mean, the first overall mistake is being focused on what you feel you need to accomplish in the way of, I got to get paid. I got to close this person so I can get paid. I have to move them as quickly as possible towards closing this commercial real estate transaction or a clothing sale or insurance sale. You got to switch it around and think, okay, hold on. Who is the ideal salesperson that I wish was selling to me? Somebody who truly cares about my needs and what's most important to me first, making sure I get exactly what I'm looking for, far above and beyond them getting paid a commission at the end of the transaction. And when you start to convey that to your people and they get that and they feel that, you're like an amazing breath of fresh air that they've never seen before.
Right.
And a salesperson in almost any industry, but specifically commercial real estate, they'll trust you more because they feel you're looking out for their best interest instead of being on guard, worried that you're going to try to slide something by on them really quickly. And they'll want to refer you to their friends and business associates too.
It's when we can take that type of an approach with people, not being so concerned about, I got to close this one, I got to get them, but more just, figuring out what's really going on with those people. Oftentimes we uncover other things that we might not have been, thinking of, where we can help them out.
Let me mention one more thing here, Frank.
Yeah.
Just a transaction that a friend of mine was involved in, a residential transaction. They recently bought a home in a vacation home community to basically do a VRBO rental kind of thing and do family trips there and things like that. So I asked him about the residential agent that they were working with.
Yeah.
He said, oh my gosh, like the guy has closed a really good amount of sales. I mean, it was something like 62, within the year or something like that. I said, how did he make you feel as his client? He goes, it was amazing. We felt like we were so special that we were probably the only client that he was working with. And I said, that's what a great salesperson does. Yeah. They make you feel really special and not like they're trying to rush to get through you to get to the other 10 transactions that they got to be working on.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Coach, because you just made me think of something. So you've been doing this a long time. You've been in sales a long time, not just coaching, just so you guys know. Coach Jim ran offices, for years and years, commercial real estate brokerages. You ever make any mistakes along this lines of persuading people?
Persuasion? Yeah. I tell you, there's just one that stands out. And I can't tell you what I said to the person. All I can tell you is the feeling I had in the pit of my stomach that I still feel today and thinking about it. And let me set up the situation, okay? This is back when I was an early agent in the business, early 1980s. And I don't even know if they're still around today, but there was a very famous jean manufacturing company called Sasson Jeans at the time. Okay. Used to have this jingle on the air. Ooh la la Sasson. Okay.
Yeah.
So they needed a big building, and I was showing the president a 400,000 square foot building on the outskirts borderline of downtown Los Angeles. And it was an old building with multi-stories and this hodgepodge here and there. And we were in their building walking around, and I could see him, stroking his chin, thinking. So I go, okay, at least I know he's thinking of a way to make this thing work.
Yeah.
And so as he's doing that, and the listing broker was there too, I said something to him that I know had to be really, really salesy type of stuff, because I just remembered the look on his face. He was thinking, and when I said that, he just kind of went like that. I just realized that I just said something that just sounded so salesy and trying to make the deal.
Right.
And just that pit in my stomach feeling just had me go in that moment in time. I got to find a better way to do this so that I never, ever do anything like that again, and find a way to be a much better salesperson, looking out for their needs while trying to move the transaction along at the same time.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So what do we do? Or what should we be doing, right? Moving forward with a new approach here of persuasion instead of the old salesperson, high pressure tactic. I mean, how do we catch ourselves? Give us some pointers there.
Yeah. Let me just mention one thing first of all, because you as a salesperson may think, okay, I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to be assertive. And I'm so slick and smooth that they're not even going to notice it. And they're going to go ahead and sign where I need them to sign. Yeah. No, they're going to feel it. It's going to feel horrible. They're not going to show it to you on the outside. They're not going to tell you about it. They're just going to want to move away from working with you and maybe work with somebody else instead. You're dealing with people who in commercial real estate, generally speaking, who are going to be in their 40s and older, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe beyond sometimes, okay? These are seasoned business people and investors who can smell BS a mile away, all right?
Right.
So don't think, especially if you're younger than that age range, that you're slicker than they are and you can slide it by them. No, you won't, okay? They've had to basically filter it out and recognize things like that and push it aside so that they don't make big mistakes in their own business and investment decisions, okay? So just realize that's what's going on, learn what works. And I'm going to give you some resources, like some things to do and some books at the end where we can talk about getting into some more detail on this.
Okay, good. Hey, so let me ask you this then. So the circumstances, Like what circumstances should be present, for us to be able to move forward,
Sure.
right, and successfully engage in persuasion. There's probably
Yes.
no better way to say that. I'm
Okay.
just curious.
So the person, the client or prospect, needs to ideally be in a place where they're still considering the deal as a possibility and think that under certain circumstances and conditions, this may actually work for them, whether it's the physical space you're showing them, whether it's an investment deal or opportunity, okay, where it's the place of possibilities. It shows that it's met certain criteria where it's in the range of possibility for them to move forward with, okay? If they need 50,000 square feet and you're showing them 30,000 square feet and you're trying to come over the top and tell them like, this is your deal, it's not going to work. Okay. So there are certain things that are negotiable and possible with your clients and prospects, and other things that are non-negotiable. For example, a certain neighborhood or area or part of town may be just, I'm not even considering going here. At the same time, when the market is tight and it's hard to find a lot of different properties to show them, sometimes when you show them something like that and the building is really ideal for their business outside of the area, it may have possibilities for they go, because of all these other great things about the building, we would now consider this because we can't find a building with all of these same features for us in the areas that we said we wanted to be in. So things need to be in the state of where it's possible and they're still considering that this could work and they may want to move forward on this.
No, the question I got is, let's talk about you personally. I mean, you're obviously speaking from experience and a lot of time in this industry, a lot of coaching, a lot of transactions, right? Have you ever had personally a bad experience where somebody tried to persuade you in a certain way that helped develop this?
Mind too. Yeah. Let me mention a couple of them. Okay.
Yeah.
So 35 years ago, I negotiated a lease for a home to move into. Okay. And I was feeling all great because as part of the negotiation, I negotiated an option to purchase where half of the rent I had paid would go towards the purchase price. All right. And I'm going, well, this is pretty cool. This is great. Well, I'm in the house for a while. The market changes and the value of the house is now less than what the option price is.
Right.
So I'm not going to exercise the option. Right.
Sure.
Now, if I exercise the option, it called for at the time for me to immediately write a check for $5,000 and put it into escrow. So the agent who negotiated the lease option is talking to me and I'm going, look, I'm not going to do this. It makes no sense. I'm not going to overpay for the house right now. And of course, she's all upset because she thought someday she would be earning the sale commission off of this. And she's just fighting me on this. I'm going like, she's trying to get me to do something that's against my best interest.
Yeah.
And then right towards the end of the call, she goes, okay, Jim, will you just write and sign that check and you put it into escrow tomorrow? Okay. And I'm just going, holy cow, And another one, I was negotiating to buy a car one time. It was like a weeknight, getting around closing time, 9:00. So the other salespeople don't have anything going on and they're all kind of circling around to help their buddy close the deal, right? And I had given them the keys to my car to drive just to make sure it was driving okay for the trade-in value they were going to offer me. And I didn't like the way that they were treating me. They were just, come on, sign, make the deal, and I feel like I'm surrounded by wolves here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I finally said, you know what? You guys are really ticking me off. And this is just, ridiculous how you're treating me. Give me the keys to my car. I'm going to drive home. We're done.
Yeah.
They refused to give me the keys to my car back.
Oh my God, dude.
I had to stay there until we made the deal. All right.
Oh my God.
Which of course ingratiated me to them and had me really want to make the deal. Okay.
Sure.
So finally I got the keys and got out of there, but it's like, you're just treating somebody like, this piece of meat to get dollar signs out of. And it's just, that's what gives salespeople a bad reputation.
It really does. I mean, that is just so insane to actually hold you captive with your keys is just,
but just dealing with all of them, like you're nobody, you're somebody we got to make money off of. And we're going to force you to allow us to make money off of you.
Yeah. What about a referral? Hello. How about treat me nice? Maybe I got a friend or two that'll come down and buy something.
Needless to say, I've never gone back to that dealership since then.
God. Yeah, I think,
and I tell this story. I leave the name out of it, but the people I know personally, I mention the name basically.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we've all experienced it, right? We've all experienced the high pressure thing. I remember multiple times where that's gone down for me. Hey, the perfect one is the Kirby vacuum guys. You know what I mean? That those guys are good sales, boy. But they're the high pressure guys. They walk in, clean your carpets for you, and say, "Come on, buy it." Something else. But
then if you don't, do they dump dirt on them?
Yeah, well, have all your dirt back. I'm out. But I tell you, when it comes to persuasion, and I like the word persuasion. I'm glad we're using it because we're actually, exercising our sales skills and we've talked, obviously in the beginning, we were talking a lot about listening, right? Listening to what they need, listening to what their needs are, understanding them. How important are questions in this realm? I mean, give us some thoughts on that.
It's so important because with salespeople in general, people are on guard thinking, you want to make money off of me. Salespeople have a bad reputation in general. I mean, I've just talked to you about my experiences and said maybe 3 salespeople who have sold to me my whole life I would want to work with again, that are at that level. Questions are so important because as salespeople, it's easy to make statements and try to move people in the direction that we want them to move in. It's much more powerful when you ask questions that are designed to elicit the response that will have them move in the direction. Because when the response comes out of their own mind, it's true and they believe it because it's authentically their own. Okay.
Right.
There's just like, too much wrapped up in this to go into much detail, but I'm going to give a couple of examples here.
Yeah.
Frank, maybe somewhere down the road, we'd want to do something specifically on asking questions. Okay.
Yeah.
For example, I mean, just something simple like when you're in a situation and you're trying to get the person to move forward in the transaction, you can basically just say something like, is everything now in place for us to proceed and move forward with the transaction? Right? It's just when they say yes, it's go, basically. Okay. Just subtle things like that. And for example, on my website, let me mention something else too. There's something called the yes set, which I'm not going to get into in detail right now, but it's a way of asking questions sequentially where the answer is going to be yes, one after the other. So you build up this feeling of momentum, like a locomotive gaining, steam and speed from a dead start. And on my website, commercialrealestatecoach.com, there's a link to top training videos. And if you scroll down, I think it's the one just above the bottom one. It's basically about utilizing persuasion with trying to get commercial real estate listings. I give a video example of utilizing a yes set for the buildup to right to the point where you're asking the person to move ahead and sign your listing. Okay. As long as you've set up the right conditions in advance, the momentum is building and building for the person to want to move ahead and sign because they realized, based upon what you've said through your presentation and the use of the yes set, that it's now in their best interest to sign the listing, give it to you, and get you to move forward to produce the buyer that they want at the price they'll be thrilled with.
In your program, your coaching program, Jim, I imagine you've got these questions that for these guys to kind of, is it like a memorization thing? Like I'm going to memorize certain questions that always draw out the yes, that I can lead them down this path. Do you have those type of assets for them?
Well, what I normally do with my coaching clients in that situation, Frank, is I say, look, as you're going on throughout the week, open up a Microsoft Word document and start typing out things as they come to you with situations where linguistically you want to either overcome the objection better, move them to the next level better, or come up with a question that will effectively address this. Then keep a list going on. And what we'll do with one of our sessions is you will feed me those situations. I will walk you through linguistically how to handle it with the questions and the phrasing and what to say. And let's record it so that you can listen back to it over and over again and rehearse and internalize. Because it's very different when you're listening to it live with me and trying to write down these notes about what I'm saying. And when you can listen to it back as a third-party observer, and write notes as you want to and listen to it over and over again, it's much more powerful to give you the tools to handle almost any situation you'd want to.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you this. When it comes to persuading, any specific words or gestures or, buzzwords that maybe we should avoid, like we should stay away from when we're
Yeah.
conversing with our clients?
Yeah, let me give you one word, and then I'm going to give you an example to show you how powerful using different words can be.
Okay.
So one word you never want to utilize when negotiating or trying to get somebody to move forward is the word problem. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't say, okay, do you have any problem with that? It's like now their mind goes on search. I don't know. I hadn't thought of a problem. Is there a problem? Is there something I'm missing here? Okay. You might want to say instead, okay, with this being done, is everything now in place for us to move forward? Right. Much more powerful phrasing. Let me give you an example. And this is sort of like an easy example of the opposite extremes here. Let's say you've got two different agents trying to convey to a client or prospect that they're honest and ethical. Okay. The first guy goes, look, I just want to let you know that I'm not one of those shysters. All right. I'm not one of those guys that'll stick the knife in your back the moment your back is turned and bleed you for every dime you've got. That's what I stand for. Okay. And so the person's going, shyster, knife in the back, bleed me for every time I got. And now they're associating that with you. Okay.
Yeah.
As opposed to the other agent would say, listen, I just want to let you know that taking care of you and making sure that you get everything that is in your best interest to get in this transaction is my number one priority, far and above me earning and getting paid a commission. By providing that kind of service and loyalty, that's why I've built up a great track record in our industry, have great clients that give me repeat business and refer me to other people. So your needs are always number one. Now, each of those examples, we're basically trying to tell the other person that they're ethical and you should trust me, but the choice of words of the other person sends up these thoughts, feelings, and connotations of negative, bad stuff. Okay. Yeah. It's just like if I tell you, don't think of a red Corvette, what do you have to think of? Right.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to think of the red Corvette. And then,
exactly.
Wait a second. He told me to get that out of my head. Now I got to try to get
that's exactly what's in my head. Yeah.
But it's already in there. Okay.
Yeah.
So the words that you choose are very, very important. Make sure you don't choose words that can trigger people with like a negative feeling or association with it, because they're looking at you and they're now going to link that to you and feel that with you in the future.
Yeah. That's stuff you just don't think about.
Exactly.
You just don't think about that. How about gestures?
Gestures.
Any type of gesture I should stay away from,
Well, that's actually, I would say probably not extending the middle finger would be one, right?
Good one.
But you got to kind of be careful with that. And that's a much more complicated subject. As you and I were talking about ahead of time, I was mentioning you, I've got like master practitioner and trainer credentials in hypnotherapy and in a field called neuro-linguistic programming, which deals with all of this subliminal communication. Yeah. So generally speaking, if you're thinking of something positive, okay, something positive words are coming out of your mouth that you want associated with you, just very subtly, you can just kind of point to yourself like this as you're saying. Okay. So, just like, hey, we want to do something that's, completely ethical, above board. Okay. Cause that sort of like is a link to you. And I got to tell you something. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to mention the parties involved and the presidential debate that was involved. Okay. But I could tell you, these people were highly trained in this type of stuff, anchoring positive things to themselves and negative things to the person that they were debating against. Yeah. And I'm going, man, this is like in a subliminal communication situation, like a catcher and a pitcher with their signs for the pitch. Interesting. Or steal it from third base coach or not. Yeah. I just went, these guys are really highly trained by their experts in subliminal communication. Interesting. And it was just amazing to watch this in play in the presidential debate. I would love to get a Pandora Zoom event with you on subliminal communication. Sure. Yeah. I think that would be really, really interesting. Yeah. I think a lot of people, I know I would be interested. Because it's fascinating because there's so much stuff going on with advertising and things like that are at the subliminal level that we don't even realize is going on. Okay. With, of course, getting some coaching from you would be the ideal way to improve and get better and more effective at persuasion. But is there anything you can leave us with today that we can do to become more effective in proper persuasion as a commercial real estate broker? All right. So let me start out with a couple of books here, because the key is recognizing that you want to become more effective at this and being willing to put in the work to do it. And so one way to start out is to start making notes, as I talked about earlier, about situations you want to be able to handle better linguistically, or overcome objections better, or come up with better questions. Because what's going to happen if you don't make notes and learn how to overcome those better, or learn how to say something that works better, is it's going to happen again 1 month, 3 months, 6 months down the road. And you're going to go, there it is again. And I still haven't come up with an answer for it. Okay. So the more that you learn this and rehearse the responses, the more confident and bulletproof you're going to feel as an agent, in that no matter what they throw at you, you're going to have the appropriate response, and you're going to exude much more confidence to your people, which they're going to feel, which is going to have them want to work with you even more. Okay. Now the books. This one is really good for taking a look at the phrases and words that top salespeople will utilize versus the ones that mediocre and struggling salespeople would utilize that actually repels business away.
Okay.
And the book is called Unlimited Selling Power: How to Master Hypnotic Selling Skills.
Wow. I like it.
So make sure you get the one that has the subtitle of How to Master Hypnotic Selling Skills, because they came up with a sequel, kind of like in the movies, basically. Yeah. I haven't read the sequel, but I've read the first one, but it's got a different subtitle. Okay. So make sure Unlimited Selling Power: How to Master Hypnotic Selling Skills by Donald Moine, Moine, and Kenneth Lloyd, Lloyd. Now, the next book I'm going to give you is a landmark book in terms of, persuasion, subliminal stuff in a business context, sales situations. It's called Influence, by a guy named Robert Cialdini, Cialdini. Robert Cialdini, Cialdini. It's called Influence. And this guy basically goes into different stories and situations to show us how we as human beings are wired to respond automatically to certain stimuli. Okay. I mean, let me just give a couple of examples here. One of them, for example, I remember, and I read this thing like 15 years ago, but I can still remember. He talks about those situations where you go out and, somebody's, I got a course to teach you how to flip houses, or, how to get rich in real estate or get rich in something else. Okay. And he talks about how people go there with the idea that I really, really hope this is what I'm looking for to get me on the road to riches. And he said, what's really interesting is if somebody stands up in the middle of the meeting and starts to throw a monkey wrench in this and say, this is BS. How can you say this? Da, 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 da. What actually happens is that can lead to more sales of the course, because apparently the people go in opposition to this person trying to ruin their dream and go, I'm not going to let this guy stand in my way. I'm going to do this anyway. Okay. Another example, they utilized at a university where they were trying to get people to volunteer to clean out the science labs. And they first asked, would you be willing to clean out the science lab, one Saturday out of the next year? Most people said no. So they prefaced it with another question first. They said, would you be willing to help us clean out the science labs one Saturday a month for the next year? When people said no to that, they then followed with the question that was earlier. Well, would you at least be willing to do it one Saturday out of the next year? Well, that I'll do. Okay. Once they've rejected you for the much more difficult offer for them to accept, they are more likely to be conciliatory to you and give you the second one, because it is so much less onerous for them, and they feel a little bit bad that they just rejected you. Okay? So in commercial real estate, just very simply, make sure that when you're negotiating for your commissions on your listing agreements, that you're going in there firm with a very good commission rate, which sets the tone for the owner to want to come closer to you than maybe what they had been thinking about. I know one top commercial guy who sometimes, even on improved property, goes in on the listing agreement asking for 10%. All right. And he said, now 6 is usually the bare minimum that I walk out with. He goes, sometimes I'll get 8, sometimes I'll get 10, but I've set that tone such that they're going, oh, wow, I was thinking 4, I was thinking 5, but we're so far apart. I better come up closer to where he's at right now. And that follows that model that I said about the situation on campus, getting people to volunteer to clean out the science labs.
Yeah. Good stuff. So look, I think we'll go ahead and just kind of wrap this up, but we will send out an email to you guys that'll have the books that Coach Jim mentioned. So we'll get that to you. We're also going to link you to Coach Jim's website as well. What's the website if they're don't want to wait for the email, Jim?
I got you. It's commercialrealestatecoach.com.
Okay.
Obviously, what I do is coaching with agents. I also lead webinars and trainings for commercial brokerage companies and associations.
Sure.
But if you think that working with somebody like me would be helpful to help you to take your brokerage income to the next level, contact me through my website, send me an email, give me a call. We could talk for free for 30 minutes or so to see if it might be a fit between us.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, guys. So there you go. Coach Jim Gillespie on how to persuade your commercial real estate clients. It was really good. Very informative. Want to get you back on. Well, for sure, we're getting back on to another Pandora Zoom event, but I really want to get into that, subliminal stuff. I think that's fascinating. And I think it'd be really fun to listen to. So with that, thanks for showing up, everybody. Be on the lookout in your email for the recording of this webinar, along with the contact information of Coach Jim. And we'll put the books in there as well. With that, we'll see you guys here. Be on the lookout for us. We'll be letting you know of other webinars coming up. So we'll see you next month here on Pandora Zoom Events, brought to you by Pandora Business Lending for all of your commercial lending needs. Coach Jim, thanks so much. We'll see you later.
Thank you, Frank.
All right. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.